of course, for the. Oh no, these trainers aren't as close as we thought. They're sitting. They do need a win here to keep it going. So yeah, wins are important.
Yeah, this is definitely a big round, trying to get the match victory here, and then you can look ahead to round number 9 to add to your total, try to get to 7, 1-1, and that's where your day 2 starts to look just a little bit easier.
Yeah, being able to keep it within reach is really, really important for these trainers. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. Of course, you've got to play these ones out. That's just how it goes in this matchup. But I think we're going to have some interesting decks. I believe that our friends over on the other side of things have made sure that we keep going with a little bit of variety here on the stream. As taking a look down at the lists, I think a Pokemon that you were very, very fond of in Peoria. We're going to be taking another look at Hisuian Gudra V-Star. That's going to be on Hale's side of the equation. And then Ihana is going to be playing one of those decks we saw a little bit earlier on. Haven't seen it come back quite yet today, but a Kyurem VMAX being the focal point of this deck with a lighter focus on that origin form Palkia.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those matchups that Hale is not looking forward to, because this is the one time that you might actually see a Hisuian Gudra get knocked out in one hit.
There's a lot of damage that can come down.
It's a lot of energies, but it's probably happened once or twice here.
Yeah, I mean, Hisuian Gudra only having 270. Of course, the Rolling Iron does help 80 less, so that's going to be 350 required, essentially, to get that knockout. That is very much within range.
Holy moly. Okay.
Oh no.
That's a lot of Pokemon in the prize cards for Hale, but let's just go ahead and say that Ihana's my favorite new player, because I love seeing the Matrix energy making a return there.
Oh, you like the throwback energies?
It's so nice.
I'm a big fan of the Heart Gold Soul Silver energies, actually, with the silhouettes on.
Those are the ones I play, but that's because those are the only ones I can afford.
Yeah, if I don't have a set of them, I'm a little bit disappointed. But let's focus back in on the prizes. The Radiant Gardevoir, something that is so helpful with that Loving Veil ability, making sure that you take 20 less damage, making those numbers even harder to hit for the Hisuian Gudra V. And of course, a pair, the Arceus V and Arceus V Star in there, the Crystal Cave. That is something that helps, that consistent healing. That is a lot of pieces in the prizes for Hale. Ihana, they have, a pretty balanced set of things in the prizes. Nothing too immediately concerning, but we can see the cards getting flipped, and we'll be diving into this with Hale kicking us off. Let's take a look at what's in the active. It is going to be one of those Arceus Vs, so a really good start. Just an attach and pass. The Kyurem V in the active for Ihana. Oh, there's that turn 1 card that you want to see, the Battle VIP pass. So being able to go through, check exactly what's in the deck, make sure you're not prized anything too drastic, and start pulling out pieces. So there is, of course, the Palkia V, another Kyurem. Plenty of choices to be working with on this turn.
What a somber way to bring the deck back together, as you look and see that the Radiant Greninja is not one of those last remaining cards there.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a disappointment. But the Kyurem V and the Origin Form Palkia V, the choice from Battle VIP Pass, of course.
Okay.
I saw Ihana pulling more cards, and I had a feeling that there might be a second Battle VIP Pass. They truly are like buses. When you get one, they usually seem to come along in pairs, at least here on stream today.
Or shoes are cool too. Do you wear shoes in pairs?
Oh, wow. Okay, Kyle. Let's get back to the gameplay with Irida being played right off the bat as well. More Pokemon in the form of the Kyurem VMAX coming to the fore. The Capacious Bucket also selected, and 2 of your favorite energies being pulled right off it for Ihana. So a really, really good opening turn. Of course, you would like to see maybe the option to get those in the discard for the later Star Portal. It's not going to be an option right now. It's not going to be easy to do it anyway. And then, plenty of options. But nice full hand. There's also a Wash energy. That's 3 water energy in there. Luminion as well, if maybe the next turn's looking a little bit bleak. But a manual attach, I think, and then a quick, maybe the Rapid Freeze to thin that hand out.
Yeah,
Could be an option. I don't mind that at all.
Getting energies in play is always solid, and then the decision is just, do you want to get down 1 or maybe a couple here at this point. It looks like the hand will play out next turn, so you could just throw them all down.
Yeah, I've finally been able to take a look at what's in the back there. That is going to be the V-Star for the Palkia as well. So being able to get a Marnie off that Primate Wisdom. But yeah, here we go with the Rapid Freeze. Get those energies out the hand as well. There were a bunch of them in there. And so it's going to be 1 extra attached to the Kyurem V in the active, and then another 2 attached to the Kyurem V on the bench. So a really good turn for Ihana there they're probably feeling pretty good, especially while Hale is looking a little bit thin on the ground when it comes to what he's got going for him.
Yeah, of course, weren't able to see a supporter on the opening turn, so we will likely see that from Hale this time around. Has the energy and, of course, has Arceus V-Star, so we'll be able to Starbirth this time around. But what do you need to find here? Certainly you think that finding the Gudra at this point would be nice. Gotta start charging that up early, especially when your opponent has 4 energies in play on the first turn.
Yeah, those energies are going to be important to be getting racked up by Ihana, being able to, of course, push those huge knockouts. But there's the Chorus's experiment, getting rid of the big Parasol and the boss's orders into the Lost Zone. So those aren't going to be available later on, but I think Hale knows that they're pretty irrelevant. The Quick Ball, getting rid of the Hyper Potion, a card that's very, very important in a lot of these Hisuian Gudra decks, being able to, of course, not just withstand the damage, but heal it off and make those knockouts so awkward to find. The Quick Ball does allow Hale to go back in and make sure he can grab another basic Pokemon, and that is pretty essential in this matchup because you do not want to leave this Arceus V-Star there, liable to get knocked out and cause problems that way. So just really getting, finally, the first time to go through the deck for Hale.
Yeah, seeing the Chorus's experiment is a fun inclusion in this deck. We're not going to add Pokemon into the Lost Zone, or cards in the Lost Zone, trying to hit certain numbers so that we can play cards like Sableye or use Mirage Gate. Now, this is just a deck that says, looking at 5 cards is really good, and I'm going to take 3 of them, and I don't care about the other 2.
Well, also, I think looking at the list, there's a lot of cards that you think aren't just relevant in certain matchups, right? Like, it's nicely tacked, but if you don't need the big Parasol, get rid of the big Parasol. That seems like just a very nice way to, late game, you make sure that you're hitting exactly what you need on every single turn. But there's the attachment onto the Arceus V-Star, and that does mean that is very much online as well, being able to start swinging on this turn with the Trinity Nova and hopefully powering up this Hisuian Gudra V.
Yep, this is probably the scariest turn for Hale. Of course, being able to get as best a setup as possible, you have to think that maybe some disruption is online here too. That path to the peak could be helpful in reducing the amount of energies that come down into play this turn.
Being able to turn off the ability of the Kyurem V-Star to start causing that problems that way is a very wise option. That is something that this deck is going to need. I mean, it's going to need Star Portal as well. Star Portal is going to be able to get out those energies if they ever end up in the discard. So being able to cut that out with the path to the peak makes a lot of sense. And of course, there's the Trinity Nova, so right back in the deck. I mean, Hale's had a good dig around in this deck, but throwing down a crisp 180 because of the double turbo energy, of course, 200 minus 20 is going to be good. And yeah, that is a lot of energy down onto that Hisuian Gudra V. Exactly what is needed as well to get it rolling in the following turn with the potential rolling iron. That is exactly the requirement hit there.
Well, you leave your opponent with a 3-card hand and a boss, an energy, and a Kyurem VMAX is kind of what they're looking for at this point. That's a lot when you only have 3 cards, so probably not going to see the boss's orders this turnaround. Instead, looks like it's going to be a Marnie here, which is a great way to maybe find a way out of this path to the peak. Yeah,
being able to dig for one of the potential, of course, stadiums that they have in their deck. It is looking a little bit light on the count as well. Not really many great stadiums that really vibe with this deck that well, so being able to cause some problems. But there is the V-Star for the Palkia. That's 2 of them, both evolved nicely now, but lacking the energy to be able to start swinging. Of course, Hale as well has the option to keep the bench nice and thin. Doesn't need to be handing over too much damage with the subspace as well. But another Capacious Bucket, being able to dig out a couple more water energies. Don't know how we feel about this, Kyle. We're going to get your opinion. That's a mismatch.
There's a lot of mismatches. Also, that energy is like a Holland Phantom's energy. It's not even the ADV as well. So it's still from like 2007, which is cool, but we don't need that.
Yeah, that's not really what we were after. But anyway, moving back onto the gameplay, the Capacious Bucket, of course, resolves. Another hand full of energy, and actually, this could be nice with there's not really an easy way to get rid of it, but if you can maybe draw in something like the Ultra Ball, that would be a really nice way to do it. So Primate Wisdom does pop one of those back. There is going to be the Irida coming out to the front. Of course, we already used the Marnie this turn, so not looking so great. And there's going to be the manual attach onto the Kyurem VMAX. That is going to need to start swinging. And let's see just how much of this energy gets discarded, just to make sure that the damage is going down. Looks like all 3 are being removed, so huge damage being swung from this Cure and VMAX, but not enough for the knockout.
Yeah, with the math there, it's just a little bit short. Doing 120 plus 50 3 times is 270. Trying to do 280.
Ooh.
So maybe looking to line up a different play. Is there a Zigzagoon anywhere? I don't think so.
I don't know if there is a Zigzagoon available. There's a lot of cards in this list, but is there room for a Zigzagoon? Usually you're just swinging for the huge knockout, and that's not something I think a lot of people have been looking at. But the Evolution Incense in the hand wasn't the most punishing money, clearly, for Hale. So being able to find this Hisuian Gudra V-Star, that is powered up to get going with the Rolling Iron right away. So if this Arceus can get out of the active, which it definitely can with just a straight-up retreat, then it's going to be a nice case of, you know, just putting this Rolling Iron down. And it's doing 200 damage as well, which isn't going to be very much appreciated by this Kyurem VMAX, which has, you know, 180 damage sat on it. And that's also a VMAX giving up 3 prizes.
That's a lot of prize cards very early in the game, and you're just setting up a wall in that Hisuian Gudra V-Star, Rolling Iron, with that damage reduction that goes into it as well. And we know that this deck is loaded with ways to find some additional healing.
Yep, well, it's going to be another Chorus's Experiment from Hale. So getting that Lost Zone up to 4 doesn't really matter, but it's a nice little thing to keep track of how many resources are gone. The Ultra Ball and the Quick Ball hitting it that time. So being able to, you know, you don't really need to see them once you've got one of those Gudras set up. You know, you'll kind of keep the bench going a little bit in that regard. But I think it's just going to be a case of get the Rolling Iron going, get those knockouts. And also that takes, you know, 3 prizes, while I don't think Ihana has too much in the way of, you know, an immediate fire back. We, of course, get to know about the hand, but, you know, it's going to have to be a Star Portal at some point. That Star Portal not available because of that Path to the Peak in play. So that sort of big comeback mechanic just isn't there.
Yeah, just the 2 training court are going to be really important to find. And it's tough. You're asking a lot of your deck when you don't have a card like B-Roll, a card like Drizzile to help you and start to burn through this engine early. Instead, you're relying on a Ranguru to keep looking at the top to try to help you out.
Yeah, well, there's going to be the double turbo energy put down on the Arceus V-Star. It's going to be a Hyper Potion play, actually. So, you know, making sure that there is a lot of healing there, as it's just going to be knockout with the Arceus V-Star, so deciding to leave that in.
Yeah, just the way that the damage works out here, having 150 damage on means that you can make the Kyurem V max of the following turn have to get rid of an additional energy to take the knockout, and that might be enough to make you feel comfortable with the Hisuian Gudra V-Star.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be, you know, that prize is just sort of available at any point. Looks like we're just doing a quick bit of math here, making sure that was a knockout, but it definitely gets there, you know, 180 and 180, 360, definitely enough for a knockout, and some big prizes being pulled. None of the Pokemon, but I will say that Radiant Gardevoir is certainly going to help out when it becomes time to get that Hisuian Gudra going. The Trinity Nova powering up the Arceus V on the bench. There is one concern there, though, which is how many Arceus V-Stars do you have, and where are they?
You know, we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hale knows, so probably going to have to pivot into the Hisuian Gudra after this. But at the end of the day, I mean, is there still going to be enough to get this Kyurem V being the real problem over here? There is an answer to that Path to the Peak, though. That is going to be the Irida that grabs those. So grabbing the Kyurem VMAX and the Lost Vacuum. Something that you want to be able to do, because it's got to be a Star Portal at some point. That is the way that this deck kind of explodes into the game. You know, if you're not able to activate that ability, you can get slowed right down.
Yeah, the 2 Lost Vacuum in the deck, able to help out here, getting rid of that Path to the Peak and opening up some of these abilities that we have not seen all game.
Yeah, the Kyurem VMAX being put back into play by evolving the one that was on the bench, so being able to cause some problems that way. There is the Lost Vacuum, discarding Lost Zoning a water energy, and then being able to, you know, actually play the game a little bit more. Even that Crobat in the hand looking a little bit more tempting. There is the Primate Wisdom. That's going to go into another Irida. Of course, you did put the water energy back, so Glaciated World is an absolute slam dunk. And there is going to be the Crobat Dark Asset now available, being able to keep drawing cards. So, number of supporters in hand. We've got a Melanie and a Irida. Got the Rotom Phone if we're looking for a glaciated world play, maybe next turn. Uh,
Yeah, we see a ton of supporters. It's just a little bit clunky at this point, and now the Rotom Phone, usually a really great addition in getting one of these water energies to the top of the deck, but at this point just looking for any additional resources to help this hand out. And we see a lot of reliance here on this Kyurem VMAX, and it's awkward when your opponent's already taken 3 prize cards.
Yeah, if you leave that in the active and there is a way that Hale can find those knockouts, that's going to be very, very problematic. I mean, honestly, that Goodra is going to start to rack up the damage. The Rotom Phone puts it back on the top of the deck, but it's not available this turn. We've already seen the Primate Wisdom from that Oranguru, so it's just going to be sitting there for the following turn with the draw. That is usually not the way you want to do it. There, of course, is going to be that big V-Star, that Star Portal, loaded up. Let's get that Kyurem VMAX ready to go.
This is a commitment if I've ever seen one.
Making sure that those energies are down. So you have enough energies to discard for the knockout and be able to, of course, keep it charged up for the following turn while you're confident that it's not going to get knocked out. So there, of course, with the discard of 1 is going to be the knockout. Max Frost only needing to do 170 in that turn. Just the 1 discard, and that's now 4 left for the following turn. So this is going to be a lot of work required of the Hisuian Goodra.
Well, math is definitely on Hale's side at this point. The Hisuian Goodra V-Star dealing 200 damage. Even the power edge of an Arceus V would be enough to clean up this Kyurem VMAX at this point. So you have to think that Hale is in a pretty great position. It's going to take a big pivot from Ihana to try to take this knockout and then have a solution as well to the Arceus V on the bench.
Yeah, being able to not let that one, get caught out is going to be a problem. Of course, it's not even the V-Star. But that is the difference in these decks, right? Kyurem VMAX gives up 3 prizes. Then you look over at the Arceus and Goodra only giving up 2 apiece. Definitely means that if you lean too hard on the Kyurem, you are going to be falling behind in the prize trade. And that is sort of what we've seen here a little bit is, yes, Ihana has been able to take a knockout, but it's still a prize down. And it was a knockout that they had to work pretty hard for, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to think if the Palkia was able to work its way in at that position, the knockout still could have occurred, but maybe the prize exchange is a little bit cleaner at this point. And you can see Hale just taking this opportunity to really make sure that all of these resources for healing and preventing damage are in play before a card like potential Roxanne or Marnie is played. We see the Crystal Cave and the Radiant Gardevoir as well.
Yeah, huge amount of damage, 200 coming down from that Rolling Iron. So damage reduced by 80 in the following turn, and it's just setting up that Radiant Gardevoir is going to be helping out as well. And now the numbers are looking pretty bleak if you are on Ihana's side. I mean, there is 4 water energy over on that side, so if we are going to see the Max Frost from that Kyurem V, the 4 is going to still not be enough. With the Radiant Greninja, with the Rolling Iron damage reduction, it's just not going to be there.
Yeah, we see the Choice Belt is in the hand. I believe an energy as well would be the full send to take the big knockout here, and it just doesn't leave you with very much. And you can already see the Arceus V on the bench as well, just waiting to get in there.
Yeah, waiting to swing back. So that is going to be, so there's 4 energy on it right now. That I believe takes us up to 320.
Yep.
And then, of course, you are going to have to, you're going to be up to 350 because of the Choice Belt. But, you're getting a damage reduction of now 100 from that. So, you're still going to have to hit 370, essentially.
Yeah.
5 energy would do it. That's the big thing, is 5 energy would get you there.
Yep, and we do see that 5th energy by way of Melanie this time around. Just taking account right here is Ihana with just making sure that this is an option here.
Yep, making sure that all the numbers are properly done. That is very important when you're in these positions. Like I say, you now have to overcome a damage reduction of 100 from the combination of Rolling Iron and Radiant Gardevoir. That is such a huge reduction in a format like this. So there's going to be a lot to ask. And I mean, if you don't knock out the Hisuian Goodra V this turn, guess what? I mean, you are going to be in a little bit of trouble because it's just going to be able to get you knocked out. So there is a big discard. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. And the Choice Belt looks like Hale pointing down at the Radiant Gardevoir to show exactly what is going on there. And yeah, that's going to be just not quite enough. And yeah, Hale's able to swing back as soon as the following turn. That would be the knockout for game, and it looks like Ihana, they're just going to scoop that one up, realizing they can't get through the Hisuian Gudra V-Star.
Yeah, that is tough. You know that you need to be taking those big one-hit knockouts in those opportunities. Unfortunately, just not able to line up the damage and the math properly in that situation, and now just has an opportunity here to work on that in game 2. And of course, we saw how powerful this deck is. You can get these energies into play very quickly, and I think if the path isn't as brutal this time around, we could see Ihana taking a victory here in game 2.
Yeah, I think they just maybe didn't think about that Radiant Gardevoir. It's you only see it. How many other decks do you see it in, right? You don't see it outside of pretty much the Hisuian Gudra V-Star, and going for it 320, 350, you think, okay, 270, the 80, need 350, and then, oh no, like it's just fallen a little bit short. So a little bit devastating there, not being able to quite get there, only going for it with the 4 energy, but, that's only 320, plus that, it's just not there, plus that choice belt. So certainly a long way to go, but Hale kind of played that game perfectly for the Hisuian Gudra V-Star. I mean, it's one of those decks that when it gets set up, he got really good attacks down early with the Arceus V and the Arceus V-Star. Feels pretty good when you're able to just swing into a nice, healthy Gudra V-Star and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really else to add to that setup. Just really clean, got the right Pokemon in play, did the proper deck thinning, getting everything out in play, and just eventually finding all of those cards to put himself in a position where he could absorb a hit like that, and 4 energy just wasn't enough there.
I mean, honestly, the big thing there is when he was taking those prizes, after taking that first Kyurem VMAX, he did, that middle row was pretty juicy. It was the Radiant Gardevoir and it was the Arceus V-Star.
Yeah, it's what we like to see.
So being able to, draw the right one, actually, the Radiant Gardevoir was exactly what he needed in that turn to make it even harder for Ihana to make it there with, of course, that Max Frost from Kyurem VMAX. It's tough. Some of these numbers are really hard to hit, and there's so many modifiers and calculations that you have to do nowadays in the format. It can take a toll on you, but the prize is looking really, really good for Ihana there. Nothing too dangerous. The only downside, maybe the too capacious bucket, slowing things down, but it does mean that the Radiant Greninja is available. And yes, here we go once again. Battle VIP Pass, there it is. Ihana, they're probably feeling a lot better about that with the Palkia V following it up as well, but still a little bit of time to go through the deck. Looks like we're pulling the Orangaroo forward as well with the Kyurem.
Is this happening again?
Let's see it.
No way.
Just like a pair of shoes, Kyle. They come in twos.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, just like a pair of shoes. You get both of them coming to the fore. So a nice full bench right off rip for Ihana. And even though 2 of them are in the prizes, still able to find a capacious bucket and get going with those concealed cards. So plenty going on. A really, really positive turn 1. And what I will say over on Hale's side, which we haven't touched on yet, Hisuian Gudra V isn't the premium starter. You actually want to start with the Arceus so you can get everything set up. You can start playing nice and early, move it into maybe that turn 2 with the Trinity Nova and the Starbirth, like we saw last game.
That is absolutely correct, and this is not what you want to be looking at from the other side of the table. A deck that can potentially take a one-hit knockout on you and has just everything lined up perfectly here. Energy in the discard pile, 4 basic Pokemon on the bench, and the energy on the active Kyurem, ready to potentially be a turn 2 knockout.
Yeah, well, this is going to be the Primate Wisdom, the Training Court going back on the top. Not needed right now, but maybe it would be lovely to see when you run into a Path to the Peak a little bit later on. But there's also the Lost Vacuum in there as well. So if Path to the Peak does come into play, it's not going to stick for anywhere near as long as it did in the last game, as Hale opens up with another one of these Colress's Experiments. Looking at a number of cards, well, there's 2 Boss's Orders in there, another Colress. I believe I saw a Hyper Potion, which is important to this deck. So tough decisions off this Colress.
Yeah, do you think that your opponent will go for one-hit knockouts this time around after we saw how...
Oh, there's an Ultra Ball in there as well.
Yep. Arceus V is a pretty good card.
Yeah, I would notice that he is holding that with 2 hands. So I think this is a decision.
You know what? I will give you that.
So it is going to be the Boss's Orders and the Hyper Potion thrown away. I mean, the Boss's Orders could be really nice here. If maybe there's an end game where Ihana, they try and hide their Kyurem VMAX until there is a little bit more powering up done. So losing that early doors could come back to haunt Hale, but we'll see, because there is definitely, a line of play where Ihana just throws those VMAXs up in the front like we saw in game number 1. But a follow-up of a quick ball does mean that there's going to be a couple of Pokemon at least hitting the bench for Hale in this turn.
Yeah, we'll see if Hale thinks that just one Arceus will be able to get the job done, or if that Ultra Ball needs to be used to go and find the second Arceus V so that you can solidify the fact that you will be getting a turn 2 Arceus.
Yep, well, there's the switch into the Arceus V.
Oh, hey, this is pretty good too.
Yeah, there is the double turbo energy available right in the hand. So Arceus V is able to swing with that Trinity charge. That is, of course, very, very nice for powering up a Hisuian Gudra V with 3 energy. You don't even have to get it into the V-Star yet. Of course, it doesn't do 200 damage, which would be a little bit nicer. But hey, it's still a huge energy attachment for your first turn of the game.
Yep, just getting the energies accelerated is the most important piece.
Oh, it's a training court. Training court off the top.
How did that happen?
Couldn't predicted that one. But the Kyurem is being evolved into the VMAX. There's the training court. Yeah, this is the thing is it's still quite far away from being able to potentially just catch the Arceus V. There's going to be the training court. Grab that water energy. Now, what do you do with it? Do you attach it? Do you concealed cards it? Oh, you throw it back on the top for the glaciated world. That's exactly what we do.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could go with that. We could even see the concealed cards, but yeah, this energy is going to find its way onto the Kyurem VMAX. 1 energy away from finding Max Frost.
Yep, well, there's an Ultra Ball being picked up with the Battle VIP Pass. I think I know where this one's going, is that Battle VIP Pass is now pretty much useless, apart from being lovely discard fodder. There's an air balloon in the hand as well. I see plenty of options, but the Lost Vacuum going away, so Path to the Peak could come to the fore, potentially, but I imagine there's a world where you go and just keep drawing through and kind of set everything up on this turn. As Crobat comes through, no Path to the Peak means Dark Asset is available, is online, and should be able to maybe try and bail Ihana out of their hand, which is a little bit suboptimal at this juncture.
Yeah, I think this Crobat V is perfect for me and my voice in its current state. The I'm Batman coming down to try to bail out the situation, find an extra energy here, and get the job done.
No way to thin it out, though. The boss's orders actually will thin it down, so going after the Hisuian Gudra before it is able to set up anything, that is really, really big. There is a lovely Dark Asset there. Draws the next water energy. The Hisuian Gudra hasn't even been able to set up a potential rolling shell, and so there is going to be full damage going into the Hisuian Gudra with the 3. That's going to be 270, and that is more than enough on a Hisuian Gudra V. So the Pokemon that caused Ihana so much trouble last time, able to be removed with ease. I really like this super aggressive line of play, honestly.
Yeah, this is something that Hale isn't always expecting to see. It's so hard for your opponent to find this aggressive line with a boss's orders unless they use a card like Crobat as essentially their draw supporter of the turn, and then you use the boss. So you can see the hand immediately go to the head for Hale, saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. I'm losing my main attacker already. I'm going to have to charge up a second one with this Arceus V, and if I lose 2, what do I do?
Yeah, well, there is going to be just the 2 needed. That's exactly 220. So Hisuian Gudra is knocked out, and 2 prizes nice and early for Ihana, being able to get into this game a lot more than we saw in the previous round as well. Arceus V, though, is put back into the active. There's double turbo energy already attached. And then we're going to go with the Evolution Incense. You have to imagine that the Arceus V Star is looking pretty tempting for Hale in this one. Needs to start swinging into this Kyurem, needs to start taking those 3 prize knockouts.
Yeah, a Star Birth being able to lock a path to the peak and potentially find some hand disruption would be perfect in a spot like this. Your opponent has a full bench. They only have 1 energy in play, and you have the potential to remove a training court and limit what they could potentially find from their deck.
Well, you also need a Pokemon to put the energy on with the Trinity Nova. That is so important. And the Ultra Ball getting rid of a energy and another Arceus there as well. So really going to be committing into this Hisuian Gudra from here on out if anything happens to this Arceus V-Star. There, of course, is the V. Would be preferred to be a V-Star, but you've got to wait a turn there, Hale. And that is going to be something that is important. The Arceus V needs to put in some work. Maybe the Arceus V can sneak a knockout on the Kyurem VMAX. It's going to swing for 180. Okay, now the question goes over to Ihana. Do you have enough and a quick enough way to charge things up if I path to the PQ? Probably not. And then you can swing, take the 3 prize knockout with the Arceus V. And then when you knock out the Arceus V, you play out an endgame with the Gudra V-Star. So there's the next attachment. It is going to be finishing off the requirement for Trinity Nova. Flip of the V-Star marker. That's going to be the Star Birth. And from there we go. I imagine this Hisuian Gudra V is going to get pretty much nice and healthy, topped up very, very easily.
Yeah, nice play from Hale using that training court, getting some extra use out of there and preserving some of those resources. There's that path to the peak. Says thank you and goodbye.
Yeah, thank you for the training court. Did mean my Ultra Ball decision was nice and easy. I get to bring that right back, throw it down so I have access to the Trinity Nova. But from here on out, we're playing under path conditions. And honestly, seeing that training court out early, seeing one of the lost vacuum thrown away too, is going to be absolutely huge. It's a very big hand for Ihana, though, off that Marnie, pulling into another Kyurem V Max. I believe I saw an Irida there as well. So definitely not the worst to be playing out with. That said, Hale's not quite done yet. Even he's got the path to the peak, doesn't want that Crystal Cave or the additional Ultra Ball. So going down, yep, there's the Radiant Gardevoir. Definitely what you like, being able to make sure that damage is a little bit harder to hit. Those numbers get really, really funky as 180 from that Trinity Nova. Costs 200 minus 20 for the double turbo, right into that Kyurem VMAX. And that, another one of those, that's going to be enough.
Well, we see plenty of evolving from this hand. The hand actually looks pretty solid. Of course, just missing some energy, but the Irida will be a welcomed addition.
Yep, being able to go and grab a water Pokemon and an item as well. What do you think the item choice is going to be looking at? Because you've got to be concerned about the path of the peak, so that makes the Lost Vacuum look a little bit tempting. But then, you know, you need the energy as well, and you need a way to make sure that those are available. I think once the path of the peak is gone, though, of course, you do have the Star Portal able to come back and start swinging a little bit. But yeah, there's the Lost Vacuum, the path of the peak being much more the preferred option in this one.
Yeah, it'd be nice to find the energies and not have to use the full Star Portal to get a potential knockout in a situation like this, but it's just not in the cards. So having the Lost Vacuum is pretty solid. Yep. Going to remove that path and then open up a world of pain here for Hale.
Yeah, there could be this Arceus in a lot of trouble. Of course, the Kyurem VMAX is really the focal point. Of course, does need to go a little bit further. That V-Star just slightly out of range if you only discarded 3 energy, so it's got to be 4. You know, there's going to be the Quick Ball. Quick Ball, of course, you know, being able to take a look through the deck. Grab a Drapion. I don't think that's particularly relevant in this matchup.
But no, this is perfect.
But at least it doesn't have a bench space, Kyle. Where's it going?
This is exactly what we need.
Well, at least we know it's in there, and Hale knows it's in there too. I don't think it's going to be particularly relevant, but it's definitely a card thinned as well. A card that you can just get rid of with that Lost Vacuum. Hey, it's not going to be haunting you for the rest of the game. It's stuck in the Lost Zone. Nothing but a Melanie left in the hand. But of course, now Path to the Peak is gone. It's time to see a Star Portal from this, you know, this Origin Form Palkia V-Star. I'm going to be honest, you only really need one turn to really go for it in this one.
Are there only 2 water energies in there?
No, we saw a big discard early doors. Hasn't activated yet. That's just taking a look, making sure. That Melanie went right back on top with the Primate Wisdom. So Ihana, they've not revealed their face down card just yet. Definitely didn't help out though.
Yeah, it looks like there's just 2 water energies in the discard pile.
Was one brought back?
Probably with the training quarter or something at some point. And so
yeah,
that's going to be short.
That's the same issue that Ihana ran into at the end of the last game as well. The numbers just not adding up. You know, a discard of 3 is 270. Just passing the turn doesn't even go for it.
This is tough. This is a spot where Hale is going to dig, knows that a path to the peak in a spot like this could be nearly game sealing, day 2 sealing. And Colress's experiment going to look at 5 opportunities.
That is a tough beat for Ihana. I mean, spending your main supporter as well, that Irida being so important. The item choice was essential, being able to get rid of that Path to the Peak with a Lost Vacuum. You know, really, really nice. But Hale, you know, definitely has some options. My concern, though, does he have another Path to the Peak? Because don't forget, this deck does play a lot of Crystal Cave for the healing.
You know what? You're right. There's actually just the one path.
Yeah, I was wondering how many paths does he play? And I took a look, and it's just the one. But the big thing here, though, is Hale may be in a position, if that's something he'd like to do, just start setting up with those rolling irons. And those rolling irons are going to be really concerning You know, there's, of course, a couple cards got rid of with the Colress's
Those
Experiment.
are such good cards in any other matchup. The
Yeah.
Hyper Potion and the Double Turbo going away.
Yeah, but that does mean that we get to see the Hisuian Gudra V-Star come to the fore. This Arceus V-Star could retreat, or it could just swing, honestly. It's still going to be able to do the damage to knock the active Kyurem VMAX out. And, of course, there is a Kyurem VMAX already available that would put 3 Water Energy in the discard. That would mean a full value Star Portal, but then, you know, you're just putting the Kyurem VMAX right back in there. And yeah, Hale, taking a look at the discard, definitely being conscious of that. Of course, there is only 1 card in hand for Ihana, and that means, you know, the fact it wasn't played immediately last turn means it's definitely not probably the game-winning or at least turn-winning card.
Yes, it is certainly not the big card. It's a quick ball. So
I didn't see it, so yeah. Well, we know what's on top. It's a Melanie.
That's true.
We do know that the Melanie's on top, and yeah, it's just going to be a swing with the Trinity Nova there into that Kyurem VMAX, and 3 prizes for Hale, immediately jumping into the lead, 3-4 with that big knockout. Yeah, Ihana slowing things down a little bit, not throwing up on those Kyurems, but the benches are small. Subspace swells aren't going to be those easy, convenient knockouts.
Yeah, when you see your opponent already has 2 Hyper Potion in the Lost Zone, maybe that's where you start to think, okay, I can work this Palkia V-Star in just fine. Also, it just works out fantastically with the prize exchange, so you have to think that this is optimal, and sure enough, finds plenty of water energies here.
Yeah, those water energies looking juicy. I mean, would be able to start pulling them with the Glaciated World, potentially. You know, the Primate Wisdom, throwing them back on top, then you're guaranteed to hit them. But outside of this turn, I mean, things getting a little bit thin. There's going to be the concealed cards to draw a little bit more. That does mean that there's plenty of them in there for the Star Portal now. So being able to hit that for 3 is going to be definitely an option. Another Melanie, another Kyurem V, another Water Energy in the hand. There's that Quick Ball from earlier. So Quick Ball going in, getting rid of the Ultra Ball, being able to grab another one of these basic Pokemon. See if there's anything in there that's looking appealing. And ooh, double Oranguru, double Primate Wisdom could be the angle.
Yeah, go for it. Also, just get that bench just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, make sure those subspace swells are hitting just for a little bit more. Of course, you know, it does tick up, but Hale's bench is pretty slender in this one, so not giving up free damage. There is the confirmation of the Oranguru going down. No Primate Wisdoms used this turn either, so maybe being able to just slow the game down a little bit, make sure your draws are exactly what you need in this instance.
Yeah, Glaciated World is going to be available here, so Oranguru going to move that energy to the top.
Battle VIP pass, not exactly what we want. So there's going to be the Primate Wisdom. Yeah, Glaciated World. Mark that one with the coin. And that does mean that Subspace Swell is available on this turn. Doesn't require any manual attachment. It's a tough one, though. You've got this Battle VIP pass stuck in hand, and nothing really else to do. So does mean you get to attack, and that is important if Ihana wants to keep up. There's going to be the Star Portal. Of course, 3 energy coming out of the discard. They're all in there now. The gang's all here, and the gang's all being attached to Kyurem VMAX.
That's probably the best place to put it at this point. I don't think we're going to work in Radiant Greninja at any time, and you got to start thinking about taking big one-hit knockouts at some point. Of course, Palkia going to try to work in the 2-piece knockout here on an Arceus V-Star to start things off, but having that big cleanup attacker in the Kyurem is fantastic.
Yeah, being able to just swing into something like this Hisuian Gudra, even if it manages to set up with the Rolling Iron, is important. Of course, the Rotom Phone does mean that that Battle VIP pass isn't going to be stuck on the top anymore. It was put back there by the Primate Wisdom, and getting that away is really important. The Choice Belt being the selection for Ihana, so being able to definitely look at a big swing into the Hisuian Gudra. Like you say, there's the 2-shot available here onto the Arceus V-Star, and it's not going to be an immediate 1-shot back onto the Palkia either, so I kind of really like this line of play. It's going to be Subspace Swell. It's going to be low damage, though, because of that Radiant Gardevoir, but still 180 going into it. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, this is fine. Going to potentially be able to get out of range with a Hyper Potion, it looks like. So Hale has to feel pretty solid about that.
Those Hyper Potions have been used liberally. I mean, by used, I mean thrown into the Lost Zone.
Goodbye.
Those aren't coming back today.
Well, we do see 4 in the list, so potential to see 1 later on. Of course, a little bit awkward when you need to think about retreating, Not anymore. There's the switch.
Yeah, switch, getting that out of them, kind of slowing down Ihana's line in this game, which was just, you know, swing into the Arceus and cause problems that way. So the Hyper Potion being played onto that benched Arceus, that line of play is now just gone, in my opinion, as the Double Turbo gets sacrificed. There is going to be a Professor's Research here, discarding the remaining cards in the hand and just drawing up a fresh 7. So the line of play here definitely looks to me like Hisuian Gudra is the way to go. Setting that up, keeping it nice and healed, and a big Parasol goes down onto the Radiant Gardevoir.
That's just strictly for style points, right?
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. But there's the Rolling Iron, 200 damage into this Origin form Palkia. I mean, there is a line as well for Hale where you just say, okay, well, I'll take the knockout here on your Origin form Palkia, and then I'll just boss something, boss an Oranguru, boss something like the Radiant Greninja, and be able to do that. So the Professor's Research helping dig through the deck and get to that useful supporter for a potential close in the following turn. Of course, there is the option where, I think if Ihana wants to stay in this game, we saw the Choice Belt go down onto that Kyurem VMAX. It's going to be a big reach to get that Hisuian Gudra once again. It's going to need a little bit more energy, and I mean, the Melanie's in hand, but
I think we're looking at the air balloon as the real way to preserve these energies, get the right Pokemon into the active position. These decks don't really focus on the having the natural switching effects.
No, they are definitely not one of those decks like the Lost Box as being able to cause a problem. I think we're just doing some counts as well for the potential subspace swells. So yeah, we're just making sure we've got the full count. There's going to be a bench of 5 plus then an additional 2. That's going to take us up to 7. That's going to be 200. So certainly some options there. But that then gets reduced down by 200 minus 80 minus another 20 for the Radiant Gardevoir. 100 down into that Hisuian Gudra, and that takes that pretty comfortably. So taking that damage away a little bit
lower.
The Crystal Cave takes you back down to 70, being able to drop 30 off. That means you now have to swing for 200 into this Hisuian Gudra, and that is definitely not the easiest. I mean, Kyurem could do it, but it's still being asked a lot, because this is going to be another Rolling Iron, I have to imagine. And yeah, Rolling Iron taking that 80 away is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, just being able to... Ooh.
Okay.
Surprising, but understandable here.
Yeah, the boss's orders going on to that Kyurem VMAX. Definitely, maybe just not even thinking about the play of, okay, I'll go Palkia now, and I'll go boss onto a single prizer, healing everything. So locking up, just going for the double VMAX, the perfect 6-prize game with 2 knockouts.
Yeah, just going for the checkmate in this position, trying to get the damage onto what would be the only attacker that Ihana can rely on to close the game out. Counting on this damage here now, really just the only thing missing is the additional energy to the Arceus V-Star to lock in a checkmate in this spot, but you have to feel very comfortable when you have a Hisuian Gudra V-Star with no damage on it. Yeah,
that double turbo energy went down, was immediately removed by the effect of the Hyper Potion, and that is a big Rolling Iron. There it is, perfect 200, easy knockout the following turn. If you swing with this VMAX, you are going to get knocked out, you are going to give up 3 prizes. So Hale, like you say, putting down a bit of a checkmate. That is going to be the Roxanne. I think that's maybe something that Hale was a little bit worried about, not being able to access that boss later on. So that puts him down to just the 2 cards. But if one of those cards is an energy, if there is a big swing into this Gudra, it's got to be a knockout on the Gudra. That is the only way, and hope that Hale misses the energy attachment onto this Arceus V-Star. That is the way that Ihana can win this game. But, putting him down to 2 seems to be the best option here. But still, I mean, there's a little way to go when it comes to being able to max Frost and get all of those, get all that damage done.
Yeah, definitely a check, not a checkmate. Just missing that 1 energy, but of course could see some help from the top of the deck there from the Roxanne.
Okay, well, we got another energy. That's definitely helpful. We got a training core as well.
That's kind of scary too, though. You're giving your opponent an energy.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving him the energy from the discard, and of course, you have to remember. We can glaciate. It's good for Ihana, right? They can glaciated world. They can make sure that they get all the energy required to get the knockout on this Gudra, but Training Core is going to be able to give him that energy, I think. So maybe this line of play a little bit, focused on themselves.
Yes.
Being able to see that one out. Of course, there is the energy in the hand. That would be able to get popped on top of the Primate Wisdom. That would be able to take you up to 4. That is going to be 320. You need 350, we said. That's just with the Rolling Iron, so you need 370. So it has to be more. There's a discard of the energy with the Radiant Greninja, the concealed cards. There's the Wash energy attached. You're up to 4. That's going to be 320, 350 with the Choice Belt. There's the Training Court. Here we go. Primate Wisdom throws that back on the top. So take that one from underneath. Yep, that's what we like. Then we're going to take a look. The Glaciated World, we're up to 5. 370 exactly if everything is discarded. That is going to be 400.
Yeah.
So with the reduction, it's still going to be enough for the knockout here. But, all right, let's see it. There's 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 270. 320, 370. And that gets the knockout all the way through. So yeah, I think looks like we know exactly what's happening in this one. Looks like the players, the players have sort of accepted what's going on. It looks like some level of confusion, but yeah, Hale is just going to be able to promote that Arceus V Star into the knocked out Gudra, and then of course, Training Court, win the game.
Winning the game is good. Getting 3 match points is great. And Hale has certainly done just that. Exactly where you want to be in a spot like this. Taking the big victory on stream to lock up 19 points here. Yeah,
I mean, Ihana, they knew exactly what was coming. They knew exactly how the game plan was going. I think that check became a checkmate very, very quickly. Just not able to keep up. And the amount of energy required to knock out that Hisuian Gudra V Star, after the Rolling Iron was just a little bit too much. Of course, those numbers very, very awkward, very tough to add up to, and yeah, committing so much energy, being able to only really explode in a couple turns. You know, you got the Star Portal turn. After that, it sort of slows down a little bit, and I think the big loss in that game actually was the turn where, you know, lost vacuum on the path to the peak, not able to get it going that turn.
Yeah, really just 1 energy short in the discard pile at that point. And
yep.
It's just unfortunate. We saw that there were 2 Capacious Bucket in the prize cards. Was able to find, I think, 1 of those early on, but then it just wasn't able to find all of the right pieces. Irida able to find a lot, but not able to find enough. Yeah,
Irida only able to get 1 item and a Pokemon, but when that Pokemon's not something like, you know, in other decks we see it with the Sobble, right? The Sobble becomes the Drizzile. The Drizzile, you know, then is able to go crazy, or even going even further, the Inteleon. Being able to turn that Pokemon into another item can be really, really valuable. Of course, there's no space for it in this Kyurem list. You have to get the Kyurem VMAX, the Palkia V Star. You don't have enough room. The Oranguru as well is important to be able to Primate Wisdom for the Glaciated World, so not enough room. And that Irida, I'd argue it's less valuable in this deck. I mean, it still helps out a lot. Still make sure your setup goes off flawlessly pretty much every single time, but